Hola YouTube, I am your girl Beauty by Lenoria across all my social media platforms, and you already know, please go ahead and thumbs up this video, subscribe to my channel, and of course get a conversation started with me in the comment section below. Everything on my face will be listed down in the description box below, but as you already know, we're going to go ahead and get right on into this. We're going to go ahead and do a battle of the Too Faced Born This Way foundations. Does the original work better than the actual matte? Or did I run into some problems and issues trying to use the matte, and am I recommending the original instead? So we're going to go ahead and put these two up to the test. So you already know. Let's go ahead and get into it.
You're my beauty one, taking me home. One thing really lead to one.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get into this new release from Too Faced, and this is their Born This Way matte foundation. It claims to be an oil-free foundation that gives you a matte finish with 24-hour undetectable wear for makeup and foundation. I went ahead and got mine in the same color Chestnut, the same color that I have the original Born This Way foundation in. Same color is going to be Chestnut, so I got them both the same way. I'm all for a matte foundation whenever they come out with matte foundations. I will say that the bottles are different, and when you look at it, the colors seem just a little bit different. So what I want to go ahead and do, I'm going to do this half of my face. No, I'm going to do this half of my face in the actual matte foundation. I'm not going to color correct or anything. You guys know I've been going through breakouts. My breakout started back when I had coronavirus. It will ravish your skin. And, you know, wearing hard hats at work. And then wearing the masks and stuff, it's coronavirus. So wearing masks and stuff just constantly breaks me out. It is getting a little bit better on this side, but it's horrendous. I'm not gonna color correct or do anything because I wanna see just how well this covers. Since this is Bae and I already know what she can do, I'm gonna use her on this side of my face where there are less breakouts and they're already started healing just a little bit better. So we're gonna be able to test this out on both sides and really just see how it looks side by side. But I did notice that, I did notice that we're going to do it on my chest since I always color correct to my chest. I'm a black woman, just in case you hadn't realized that. But I have hyperpigmentation all over my body. So depending on if it's wintertime or summertime, it just really depends. I can actually tan down 4 shades darker than what I am. And in the wintertime, I can actually go up half a shade lighter than my actual normal complexion, depending on whether or not I go out in the sun or not. So I want to go ahead and match everything to my chest since I always match to my chest. So we're going to do a pump of the matte over here on this side and just go ahead and blend this on out. Just so you guys can actually see what it actually looks like. Because typically a matte foundation is going to dry down to probably about half a shade to a shade darker than it actually comes out, it appears and applies. So that's something you guys need to keep in mind. If you're getting this matte foundation from Too Faced, just remember that matte foundations will dry down half a shade to a shade darker. I've even seen some matte foundations dry down almost 2 shades darker. So that's the reason why if you can go into the store, definitely go ahead and go into the store and just put it on the part of your body that you're normally going to match. And then from there, just walk around for about 10 or 15 minutes, make sure it has a true dry down time and actually look at the actual color. So that's the matte Chestnut from Too Faced, and we're going to use the original one right here just so you guys can see. Now this is coming across very warm on me. The regular one, okay, I didn't need that much. Let's remove some of that. We don't need quite that much to test, but let's go ahead and do it like this and blend it out. Okay, so I haven't received the most amount of sun this summer. I've been in and at work and pretty much in the house for the most part. But as you can see, I went ahead and got Chestnut to actually match me more or less for my actual summer shade. And this is the new one that's drying down more matte. If you could tell, it's a little bit more, this one is a little bit more neutral golden, and this one is a little bit more warm. So this one it's pulling just a hint of olive in it, just a real small hint. And olive and peach is what I look for in my foundations, but the original was definitely a better color match for me, even in the actual winter time and the summertime, since this is more or less my summertime shade. This right here would be, if I would have to tan down a little bit more to match this one. But I just want you guys to see just the color difference. So if you are chestnut like me, or within the same area of being chestnut like me, I just want you to be able to tell it's a color difference. So because it's a color difference, maybe you want to go ahead and order 1 or 2 shades lighter than what you normally may be. But we're going to go ahead and put it on the actual face. I'm going to go ahead and prime my face with a little bit of the Essence Prime Plus Studio. This is their mattifying pore minimizing primer with black clay. So I'm going to go ahead and use this to go ahead and prime. And I'm also going to go ahead and I'm going to mix that with a little bit of the Fenty Beauty, and this is their Soft Matte Pro Filter. And I ordered mine on the day it launched with Sephora, and I got it in on Friday. So it took about 3 days for me to actually get it in, so pretty happy there with the actual shipping time of it. I'm not really gonna be using any new products with this actual test, because I wanna be able to see exactly how this would normally work and last on me without having any other new products come in and typically might change how it looks or how it appears or how it wears. And I wasn't sure if I really wanted to go ahead and try it out with the foundation brush or a sponge. I know this can shear out the product coverage just a little bit, and this can sometimes give you more full coverage and a little bit more matte, where this can add a little bit more dew to a foundation. So what I'll do on the side of my face that is horrendous, I'll go ahead and do the top half with the actual sponge to see how the coverage goes, and the bottom part with the actual foundation brush, so that way you guys can see, is there a difference if you're using a wet sponge or if you're using a dense packing kabuki type foundation brush. So let's go ahead and get it on. And I'm gonna go ahead and do 1, 2 pumps. That's what you get for 2 pumps, and it's kind of runny. And you can see right there how it's kind of orange. I'm gonna go ahead and apply this on with the flat foundation brush. And this will also be able to give me a chance to see exactly how much playtime and wiggle time this foundation gives. So we're gonna go in with the damp sponge up here up top and see if anything changes or anything is different. And I'm immediately noticing, see how it's starting to take away the foundation. So I'm starting to see coverage being lost. I'm gonna go in with a dry foundation brush. And you guys know I always spray my foundation brushes with just a little bit of setting spray, just so it's not completely dry. So let's go in here and actually see what happens if I go across it with a brush. And this thing dries down pretty fast, and it dries pretty matte. With me and the way I just prime my face, this thing dries pretty fast, guys. So I would definitely say you guys need to work pretty fast. Now for me, I would have went in and color corrected the darkness, but I just want you guys to be able to see how it actually didn't cover that. These are still coming through, but I think that had a lot to do with the sponge. But even down here, you can see the hyperpigmentation is still kind of peeking through. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is take 1 more pump and the brush, full pump, and I wanna go back in here and fix some of these coverage issues that I'm having. Because I want this to have the best shot possible. And that isn't gonna happen if I'm playing around with coverage. And right now I'm just pressing the foundation in. This thing is matte, and for me, the second pump kind of did go ahead and cover everything up. Let's go ahead and make the ears match, because that's atrocious. There's nothing worse than people forgetting to do their ears, and you be looking like, yeah, that's not matching at all. So that's what it looks like with 2 pumps of the new foundation on that side. And it pretty much almost completely covered up my under eye darkness right there, if you guys can see. So it's really pretty. And as you can tell, you can see the texture of my skin because I'm recovering from an acne breakout. So you can obviously see that. But if you look closer at my skin, you can see how it's pretty much blurring my pores. So I really like that. We're gonna go in on the other side with the other one. And we're gonna go ahead and do 2 pumps of that. And I can tell you that the original foundation is just as liquid, but it's just a little bit thicker, just a little bit. And now I'll go in and go ahead and put this over here. So let's go in with the sponge again and see what happens with the sponge on this side. Will I lose coverage? I'm not losing coverage with the original one. I don't know if you guys could see that, but I'm not losing any coverage. Let's go in with the foundation brush on the bottom just to see if it's any different. And this one has a way longer play time for me to be able to play with it and move the foundation around before it starts to set, and gets a little bit harder to blend and to work with. So if you're one of those people who don't move fast with your foundation, then that matte one may not be for you. Or you just might need to work in smaller sections of your face when you're actually going in and doing your face. So this is the original compared to the matte. And you could already see how it's more luminous on this side, where this side has went down completely matte. So what do you guys think? The more matte side, which is the new Too Faced Born This Way matte foundation, or the original Too Faced Born This Way foundation? What do you guys think? Now for this one, I'm gonna go ahead and go in here and use my Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer in Butterscotch to go ahead and just highlight my actual face. And I'm gonna go ahead and go in on the matte side first, as far as blending is concerned, just to see if the dry down and blending on the matte side is gonna be any worse, for lack of a better term. Because I already know on the original side, this thing, I have playtime. I don't have to worry about it. It's not something that I have to go in here and blend out right away. So that is something that I already know about this particular foundation. And I can already tell that the matte side is already trying to play me. So let's go ahead and blend it out. And I'll go back in and just blend around it with the actual foundation brush, so I don't have any harsh lines around my chin. But it blended out beautifully. So I can't say that I'm having any problems here with blending. I had wet the sponge just in case I was gonna need to go in and move the product around with the actual sponge, but I'm not having any problems. I will say on the matte side, it did dry a whole lot faster, so I was having to pat just a little bit more. Because that blend right there is kind of difficult to try to get into, whereas this one was flawless. Then going back around with the actual foundation brush, just to go ahead and make sure I don't have any harsh lines with it. Even though I really didn't. So that's what we're looking like there. See, you could definitely tell it's still, from my face to my chest, is darker. But on this side, You can see from my face to my neck to my chest. I'm gonna go ahead and set with my Peach Perfect. This is the Too Faced Peach Perfect, and this is a mattifying loose setting powder. And I like to go back underneath my eyes and before I set, just make sure I'm not having any blending problems with any product building up or setting into wrinkles for me. And I'll go in lightly with the brush first, just to do a base set. And after I've did a base set with it, what I'll go in with next is baking it down just a little bit. And then I'll go in with the bigger brush and set the rest of the face down just by pressing the powder in. So this is what it's looking like when it's set, and now I'll just go in and just dust away the powder. So this is what we're looking like before we go in and add more actual bronzer, powder, and contour. So let's go ahead and do that. To bronze, I'm gonna go ahead and use my butter bronzer. This is the Physicians Formula shade in Endless Summer. And I'm gonna be using a Morphe E5 brush. The foundation, the flat top kabuki I was doing is from Juvia's Places, and this is the J213. This is the round buffer brush. The other powder brush that I use with my actual face is the J12 flat foundation brush. This little brush right here is from Real Techniques. And of course, the bigger brush I use to actually set my entire face down, this is the Morphe E42. And the smaller brush that I use, this one is a Luxie 512 small contouring brush, but I like to use this to go in and do my initial set of powders. So we're gonna go ahead and use the Morphe E5 in the Physicians Formula butter bronzer, just to go in here and blend and add a little bit more color. And I'm gonna go ahead and use just a 234 Luxe Smoke Shader brush to go ahead and do my nose. Go back in with the same brush that I had my setting powder on and just blend over that. For blush, I'm gonna go ahead and use the Real Techniques by Sam and Nick, their Cheek Pop Blush. And I'm going into this Coastal Scents Blush 2 palette. And I'm gonna go ahead and take this orange and right here on the cheeks. Okay, so this is the final look that I came up with. Now, for the actual lips, I went ahead and combined 2 different colors for the actual lips to give it more of that ombre type feel on the lips. I used a discontinued ColourPop Ultra Matte color in the shade Dr. M. And I went ahead and used the Maybelline New York, and this is their Super Stay Matte Ink in the shade Creator. So I went ahead and combined both of these for the actual lips. I did go ahead and do the official Link Lashes style in Sweetheart. Those are the lashes that I have on right now. And the highlight that I went ahead and put on was the Fenty Beauty Trophy Wife. So I did go ahead and use that. And of course, you know, the bronzer of my face was the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. So we have the Too Faced Matte, Born This Way Matte on this side, and the original Too Faced Born This Way Foundation on this side. But this is what I went ahead and created with the eyes. And of course, the glitter that you see on my eyelids is the Diamond Dust by Stella Glitter and Glow. And right here, the inner eye highlights, you know, can't do a look without that. You know me by now. This is the Shadow Mystery Liquid Eyeshadow in the shade Spiritual. So this is what we have so far. And of course, you guys already know the eyeliner and also the eyeliner on top, the waterline and the eyeliner are both from this particular product from Huda Beauty. This is her Life Liner and Extreme Black, both ends of it. And the eyebrows, of course, is the Pure Cosmetics On Point Eyeliner, Down to Earth. You guys already know that. So this is the look that we have. even with the lights turned down, you can't necessarily tell it or see it too well. But outside of these lights here, you can start to see the different shadows that's coming across in my neck that's actually darker than my actual body is actually showing across. So just a heads up, guys. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Okay, so you guys have seen this. Again, what I'm saying is, do I think it's worth it to go buy the new one? No, I don't. If you watch a couple of videos and different things as far as reviews on YouTube, you'll start to see that even for us content creators who did go ahead and get our original shade in it, you'll see it, the new matte one comes off slightly darker. You still can play with it and make it work. It also dries pretty fast for a foundation, which even I ran into a couple of blending problems. You guys saw what I had to do with my actual blending with it. And my concealer started to dry a little bit faster too. No matter what type of concealer you're using, if you're putting it on a fast drying matte foundation, it's going to affect every layer up from there. So that's something you guys want to go ahead and keep in mind. You know, if from time to time you may struggle skill wise when it comes to makeup, especially with your actual base, then the matte isn't for you. I would definitely tell you to go ahead and get the original Born This Way foundation. It's bae and it's holy grail for a reason, for so many men and women for a reason. It's easy to work with, it's easy to blend, it plays well with different primers, it plays well with different concealers, because your primer or your concealer can completely just mess up your entire base. Doesn't matter how good the foundation is. But the one thing I did love about this is it played well with multiple other products. And even with this one, I noticed that when I went in to go ahead and do my bronzer, my contour, well, didn't do contour, but I went in to do my bronzer, my cheeks, and my highlighter, I did go ahead and notice that kind of building up the payload and blending it out, building and blending it out was a little difficult for me. And I don't ever really have that problem. I use the Blush 2 palette from Coastal Scents. I went ahead and used, for my actual blush, what I have on right now, I use that orange blush right there. I don't have those problems, and this palette has got to be like 5 years old, and I still use it, and I don't have those problems. And again, the highlighter, when I was going in and doing my highlighter, I had to keep going back and forth, blending, spraying, blending, spraying. It was weird because I used the Fenty Beauty Trophy Wife. And if you guys know anything about Trophy Wife, this is that one dip apply and you good, because that's just how bright, pigmented, and glittery it is. So, but for me, I love both of these foundations. Am I keeping the Too Faced Born This Way matte? No, because it's not enough of a difference for me to justify keeping a $30+ foundation. This is gonna go back to Sephora. This is gonna go back. It's not enough for me to justify keeping it when I already have something that 85% does what it already does anyway. But if you don't already have the original, you get the original, because the amount of, how can I say this? But looking at it straight on, front forward, just looking at myself, you know, with the two foundations, I'm not seeing any real difference, even though they're definitely different colors. The only thing that I could say is the original Born This Way foundation looks more youthful on this side of my face. But that's kind of weird because maybe that's just a more youthful looking side of my face. I'm just looking at it, just trying to even see if I could even tell any difference or anything with it. And to be honest with you guys, I can't tell a difference. I can't see anything that may be different for me as far as how it's wearing, how it's sitting on my face. Nothing. Yeah, they both have a little bit of pore blurring when it actually comes to your actual pores, and it helps smooth out the skin, not a whole lot. Don't be like Lynn said this is gonna blow. No, Lynn didn't say that. Just a little bit, and that's one thing I've always liked about this foundation. And as you guys know, for most people, this falls within their top 10. So what I will say for you, when it comes to the Too Faced Born This Way foundation, if you wasn't a fan of the original, then boo, you're not gonna like this because it's pretty much the same. Just, it gives it a satin matte. This dried to a satin finish, but didn't quite all the way dry down. But this definitely dried. You gotta work fast with this one. This one you can play for the guys. You can do a whole lot with this one. But this one and any other product you put on top of it will speed up the drying time, because I noticed the foundation dried a whole lot faster with the matte, and my concealer started to dry a whole lot faster with the matte. So that is something you guys definitely want to go ahead and take into consideration. But if you love this, do you need this? No. No, you don't. I did run into some problems. That's the reason why I said this is going back. That's why it's already back in the box. It's going back. I'm getting my money back. I don't. It's 2020. I don't have time to sit here and fight with the foundation, with it working. It's too many other great foundations out that work. Too Faced already had one that worked. Also, the colors were a little off. We're dealing with coronavirus right now across the entire United States and the rest of the world too. So if you can avoid having to go into an actual store to try to color match yourself, do that at all costs. If you want to still go ahead and try out the matte, try to find some tutorials with people who are closer to your skin color and undertone to try to see what shade works best for you. But had I known what I known, I probably would have went ahead and got a shade lighter than this, because right now I'm in between my winter and summer complexion. So in the actual wintertime, I can't make this work. This would be way too dark. I couldn't even try to make this one work. I can play with and make this one work for both my winter and summer shades, just really depending on how I decide to actually use lighter powders and brighter concealers. But yeah, that's it, guys. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions. If you got it, if you're thinking about getting it, were you on the fence? Just, you know, sound off in the comments below. But as always, thank you so much for coming and spend some time with your girl. You guys know how much I love you. And until next time, bye and be safe, you two.